Three, two, one. Welcome to Jim's Take, episode 149. We're going to go, it's not going to be dark this week, I promise. We're going to be very positive, but we're going to be realistic. Theme of today's podcast: nothing matters, so be selfish. Sounds a little provocative, I know. I'll go there. But it's come out of, it's not about giving up. When I say nothing matters, a lot of people will think, we're giving up, nothing matters. It's kind of a dark way to approach it. But I feel like I want to flip it on its head and say that we need to give up on certain types of things, right? A lot of the things that we think matter really don't matter. And I want to talk about that. And there's a healthy selfishness that's necessary for us to really kind of respond to change, deal with the world, deal with the mess that is going on everywhere it seems that we turn around. We operate under these assumptions that other people hold the same beliefs as us, or the same priorities, or the same, way that you should act, or something like that. But they don't. And we sit and we think about what people should do. And the world doesn't operate that way. And it becomes frustrating. We find ourselves defending ourselves or trying to manage ourselves based on the imagined perception or ideas of somebody else. And humans are the only species that can imagine what somebody else might be thinking. But when we imagine this and we make assumptions and we assume, well, this person is that, so they're probably going to think this, so I should be doing this in order to respond to that and hit that over the head, and it becomes a mess. And we've gotten so wound up in our own heads that we're really not focused on ourselves and the things that we want to grab. Everything is out there for the grabbing, so grab it. And so that's what I want to go into today, right? It's going back to like my first two beliefs. There's nothing that can't be done, and there are no rules. And in a world full of chaos, distraction, noise, nothing matters in the way that we think it does. And it's our opportunity now to finally put ourselves first. We're going to go into this like ethical philosophy little bit, but we worry so much about making the right decisions. And are we putting the right choices out there? And what if this and what if that? And most decisions we make are really irrelevant. They are absolutely irrelevant. And so this is almost your anti-anxiety pitch, making the right choices for you. How do you create the filters to say this is what's important for me and everything else is going to work itself out, so you just don't have to worry? Lean into the things that give you joy. And this doesn't mean being neglectful. I'm not talking about neglecting the obligations you have or anything else. It's not a black and white situation. There's a scale of all this. But the chaos is really the point that we need to focus on to eliminate it, because that's not where our focus should lie. If you listen to the last podcast, the constant flow of marketing and outrage and manufactured urgency and news bulletins and cycles and political division and economic anxiety and who's bombing who and where's the war, and the world around us is screaming for our attention. But it's rarely in your interest, right? Our attention is hijacked so it can be monetized. And last week I went through that, where it's so off-putting, where it's oppressive. It's just so oppressive that you can't get away from it. So you're not allowed to focus on yourself. It's so intrusive on the way that we operate. Our text messages, our emails, our social media now, everything is a pitch, an ad, an assumption on why you're doing the wrong thing. The clickbait headlines on you're eating yogurt wrong or whatever the hell they're doing. Like everything is meant to judge you or drive some judgment within your mind, and it's exhausting. And I mean, the research is out there, everyone from McKinsey to psychiatrists to everyone, about the digital noise, information overload, all of these negative impacts. And the reflective question really to ask is, why are we allowing everyone else's priorities to take precedence over our own? And granted, some of us just don't take the time to figure out what our priorities are. That's a different channel, right? Like, what do you really care about? What's really important to you? What do you enjoy to do? What motivates you? These questions that we never, I ask this to clients all the time, what motivates you? And they just look at me and say, well, Shit, I never thought about it. I have no idea. We're told what motivates us, but for some reason it never works. We're told what we're doing wrong. We're told how to be a good leader, yet somehow we can't adopt the behaviors that we're supposed to be doing. And so all of this judgment and assumption, these imaginations are driving our stress. They're driving our anxiety. You know, we've got these checklists of things to do, of all these things that we're supposed to do, and it's just time to stand up and say, I don't need any of this. Right? It's like, let me start to dictate what's my responsibility in saying this is what's important for me. And this is the priority for me. And you know what? Sometimes I don't want to go do this thing. I want to do something else. And when you have that power, it's this healthy, I'm calling it a healthy selfishness. You realize that nothing matters. Really, nothing matters. At the same time, we're so insignificant, but we're also the most important thing in the world. Right? You are the only thing that matters to you, or should matter to you, right? I mean, yeah, you've got kids and jobs and all that other stuff, but ultimately you can't take care of the kids or your job unless you take care of yourself. That's the ethical philosophy thing. You know, if I were to define a healthy selfishness, what does that mean, right? We should probably spend a minute on that. I could define what it's not. It's not narcissism. It's not greed. It's not this isolation. It's not this arrogance. Which some people try to pin on you, right? They'll try to tell you that you're being greedy or being selfish and all that. But prioritizing yourself is not a selfishness. It's not a negative component, provided you're doing it in the way that best fits you, right? And this isn't about being dismissive of other people. It's not all that. What it is taking the time to prioritize what your needs are and putting them first, getting clarity on what your values are, and making decisions based on your values. A few episodes ago, I did the belief system. I've got these 6 beliefs. Everything filters through my beliefs. And if it doesn't filter through those beliefs, it's irrelevant. I don't think about it, right? The amount of people that just don't think about it anymore is so liberating. It's just so liberating that you don't have to worry about what other people think you should do. Because when your values are set, your priorities are set, it doesn't matter what other people think. You're focused on you. Maslow did the hierarchy of needs. And when you go through those most people talk about it, you know, the basis, you know, the very base of the physiological needs, the air, the water, the sleep, the food, shelter, you know, all that stuff. And then you go into safety, I think. And then you've got love and family, like the social connection. But the very top of it, the very top of Maslow's hierarchy of needs is self-actualization. And most people never make it that far because what do? We focus on like, all right, I got the first 30 seconds, I'm good, and I'm going to keep running and do whatever. It's the desire to become the most that you could be. Once all your other needs are met, then you have to challenge yourself to find the new needs, the self-actualization. And that's where you get into the meeting others' needs. And you get the reward of being helpful to others. But you cannot get to self-actualization until you take care of the priorities and the values and the self-esteem and the self-actualization or the self-realization of status and recognition and freedom and strength and all of these different things. And so how do we create those boundaries to get to self-actualization? Ethical philosophy, which I mentioned in my book, I know I mentioned it in the TED Talk, has a concept called enlightened self-interest. Ethical philosophy basically states that by taking care of other people, you're taking care of yourself. And I like that. It hits me in the right kind of way. You serve others, you're serving yourself. We all feel good when we volunteer and we do these kind of helpful things and you do favors for people. And it's lovely in theory. But it's not always possible to help other people all of the time. And so what I would argue is, in order to help other people, you have to flip that concept on your head and focus on serving the needs of the best you. And this is where the being selfish comes in, right? If you take the time and do the work to understand you, what do you value? What motivates you? Like these types of questions, meeting those needs so you can then serve people in the way that's most natural for you. Right? You're not putting square pegs in a round hole and trying to help everybody where you're just not a right fit. I've been asked to help people in a lot of different ways, and I just say, I'm not the right fit. And I'm going to get angry doing this, and you're going to be disappointed in me, and this isn't the right fit. Is there another way that I could help that might be more aligned with what it is that I do. And I want to be helpful. Everybody wants to be helpful. I mean, I think that's why everybody's looking for purpose. They're not looking for purpose. They're looking for usefulness. How can I be useful? But we don't know how to be useful, right? Yes, we can do anything. It's the same thing like looking for a job. What kind of job do you want? Oh, I can do anything. No, what kind of job do you want? Right? What's going to match with your values? What's going to match with your capabilities? What's going to match with your interest? Right? What do you want to do? And I remember having that thought 25 years ago when I was looking for new jobs, miserable in my cubicle, saying, I'm looking for jobs that I can do. How do I find a job that I want to do? And it's very, very different. And it's hard to do these things like helping other people and getting rid of the focus and putting the focus back on you. We have this burden of should. And I hate the word should. It might be my least favorite word in the English language. Most people don't like the word moist. My least favorite word is should. There's so much judgment in the word should. And when we say that someone should or shouldn't do something, I mean, I feel like there's some societal ones, you shouldn't murder people, right? I think most people kind of get at that level, like, all right, fine, we get that. But there's a lot of things on the way you should operate. And I would challenge that assumption that others share this same values and logic. They don't. You should feel bad. You should care more. You should volunteer more. You should do this. You should do that. You hear a lot of that in this, the coaching world and all this stuff. And it's just added stress because we are now defending ourselves against others' imaginations on the way that I should be. Why should I be dictating my day-to-day routine and my work and my business in the way that you think I should? How arrogant is that from your perspective? How dare you try and project what you think I should do on top of me? I mean, there's general societal things, but most of the stuff we're talking about is not. It's just insecurity packaged up as projection on what other people should do. And when we put conjecture into our beliefs, we have to defend ourselves against other people's imagination. Right? When we put conjecture into this imaginative idea of the way that other people should be and expect people to defend themselves against your imagination, pound sand. Right? You realize, so there's two ways to do it. One, I can tell you that you're all doing it because I used to do it. And I still do it, right? I'm not that bad. But maybe the way to realize that you do it is to think about how many people do it to you. And when we sit and think about what matters today and how many things are you doing that just don't matter, and how are we, the phone calls and the text messages and the relationships we have, are these people really serving your best interests or not? And are you serving the best interests of other people? It's a difficult question and a hard pill to swallow. And so my response to a lot of this really comes down to simplicity, as it always does, right? The soul of simplicity, right? Doing less, but with more intentionality. And I think maybe next week, 2 weeks, it's the first chapter of the new book is my philosophy on intentionality. So maybe I'll do a podcast on it. But we have to lead with ourselves and we have to define what intentionality really is. And when we start with our values and our motivations and what's important to us and what do we prioritize, and it's not just listing out like, oh, my kids, right? Why are your kids a priority? And what do you want out of that? When I did that work, I realized that I wanted my kids to be strong and independent. I wanted them to be smart. But was I really acting in a way that was enhancing that for them? So serving the best interests of them so that they could serve the best interests for themselves. And clarity begins when we start with ourselves right in the center. So what matters today and what actually needs your attention? And that's what we need to do now. When we can realign and find this type of freedom, we realize that nothing matters is a nice liberation. It's not nihilism. It's we get to choose what matters to us. And that's amazing. So pick something this week to deprioritize. Pick something that just doesn't matter. One thing to say no to. And one thing to choose for yourself. And I know this sounds flighty, but I'm going to say it anyway. When you start taking care of yourself, everything else just falls into place. But in order to take care of yourself, we have to eliminate all these shoulds and what other people think you should be doing and all of that other stuff. So have a great week. Anyway, nice little 15 minutes for you there. Rah, rah, go team, go. Nothing matters. Cut the noise. Be selfish. It's just a wonderful way to live. It's a good thing. Have a great week. I'll talk to everybody soon. Thanks.